Yep. Okay.
Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. Today is November 12th, 2025. It's currently 6:32 p.m. and this is a meeting of the City of Philomath Public Art Committee, the very first meeting of this sort of official committee. So we're very excited about that. I'm going to call this meeting to order just because we haven't elected a chair or anything yet. So I will get us started. But on our agenda today, we have roll call and introductions. And then maybe if at that point someone wants to volunteer to be the chair once we talk about ourselves and you know who you're sitting with. I think one key note is those of you, which maybe is just one, who were on the previous iteration of this committee, that was before I was elected to the city council. Is when I first got on that committee. Yes, correct. So I was just a normal resident member. Now I'm an ex officio member as the city council representative, so I don't have a vote and I won't be the chair. I'm more here to be the sort of, along with Chelsea, be that sort of two-way street of expressing sort of what the city council is, asking you to weigh in on, and then helping explain when you do make a decision or come up with advice, then communicating that back to the city council. So I'm here more to represent the big picture, what the city council's strategic direction is, all that kind of stuff, and then leave it up to you fine folks in conversation to kind of evaluate those things. So just to say, it's a little bit of a different structure than before.
Why don't you explain about chair really quick?
Yeah.
Or when you come back to it, maybe.
Well, yeah, so before we do our roll call and introductions, I want to just do a few quick things, and apologies if this is things everyone already knows. The first thing is this is an official public meeting, so that's why we are recording and live streaming. We have the little sign, this meeting is being recorded, so just keep that in mind. Anything you say is on the record.
And live stream.
And live stream. Yeah. And then part of that too is if you aren't familiar just with sort of public meetings laws, it also means that any discussion, deliberation, or decision making has to happen in a public meeting since the city council created this as an official body. So that means if after the meeting you have some great idea for some art, don't just email the whole committee being like, hey, let's do this. And then everyone replies all being like, sounds good, because that happened outside of the public eye. So then our residents don't have a chance to watch that and weigh in or not. So Oregon Public Meetings Law just says that any body, like any governing body like the city council or any body that advises a governing body like the city council has to be a public meeting. So that's the first thing I'll say, not to scare anyone.
Yeah. So how do we communicate then? Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh.
So it is a little annoying and clunky just the way that the laws work, but usually the right system will be Chelsea is sort of our point person for this committee. So if you have an idea of something that you want the group to discuss, send it to Chelsea and then she'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. And there will be times where Chelsea might be able to send out a survey to everyone and you can fill it out at home, but then we just won't discuss the results of the survey until the next meeting or something like that. So it's not like you can't do anything outside of the meeting. It just, again, you can't do that discussion, deliberation, decision kind of thing. But individual members can send things to Chelsea. That can go on the agenda. If you have questions, you can call me or Chelsea, email us, whatever. We're always happy to chat. But it's more just that kind of having everyone weigh in on things all together. And then I guess the other piece of that, which is getting a little in the weeds, is technically it's only a problem when there's a quorum, which means a majority. So technically two of you could talk to each other outside of the meeting, but then that gets tricky because if you two talk to each other and then you two talk to each other, that's technically three people that talk to each other, which is now majority. So it gets weird. We'll talk about that after.
And then she'll email everybody so it's not official.
Well, if you have an idea, I can do that. It's something I feel like I want to share this with you all in between.
Yeah.
But I'll usually send it blind copied so that you can't accidentally reply all and say. So we try to help here, help people not accidentally do that. So
I will say, I mean, knock on wood, this is not the planning commission or the
Right.
budget committee or something. I don't think people will be that upset
Right.
if just
Don't get too
try to be
stressed out about
chill.
it.
Yeah,
We'll help you.
second guess every single thing you say and
Right.
do, but just if you have questions, let us know. But I think the bottom line is just
Yeah.
I think the bottom line is just the spirit of the law, right, is just that we're supposed to be open and accountable to the public, so we should do things in ways that are open and accountable to the public.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're very happy to have you all here tonight. Once we do the introductions, like I said, then we'll elect a chair. The chairperson will just be responsible for running the meeting. So like I did, call it to order, just kind of work us through the agenda, make sure we're staying on track. You know, if we're still on business item number 1 and we've been doing that for an hour and a half, it's probably time to move us along. Make sure folks are staying on the agenda, and then, call on people if they have things they'd like to say. I think since we're a smaller group,
Yeah,
we can
it
probably
does
keep
help.
it relatively informal. And then obviously as chair, you're also welcome to work with Chelsea and sort of developing, like, Chelsea can be like, oh, hey, so-and-so sent me this idea for the agenda. What do you think? That's at your discretion. Chelsea's great. We trust her to make the agendas and do that all. But so if you're like,
You
oh my
want
God,
to do
yeah,
that,
if you would like
I'm
to be
open
a
to
part
that.
of that, you're
I
welcome
also
to.
am
But
a
if
staff
you-
liaison park board.
If you just want to show up to the meetings
Yeah,
and do
I
stuff
really
there,
want to sometimes.
that's fine too. So,
Yep.
any questions about sort of the structure or all these sort of legal things before we actually talk art? Wonderful. Okay. Then with that, we'll do sort of a combined roll call and introductions. If we just want to go around the table and just introduce yourself, your name, what interested you in applying for this committee, what you're hoping to do in this committee, any questions you have, anything like that you think are important for the rest of the committee to go. So I'm talking a lot, so I'll go last. Maybe we'll start over here.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer Edwards, she, her pronouns. I go by Jen, though, just easier. The reasons I'm interested in this committee is my background is in the theater arts. I actually used to work at the Herberger Institute at Arizona State University, which I advised all art majors, performing and fine arts. And so arts has been my background all along. I'm currently not in the arts, so this is sort of like a side hustle to keep me in the arts. And so that's one of the major draws for that. Plus, I just recently left the School of Public Policy at Oregon State University, different university. And so that also the community involvement is very important to me in that part. So I wanted to be able to support the community with those arts as well, and with my background and my knowledge of that. So yeah.
And Jen was on.
Oh, yeah, and I was on the
downtown project art
Perfect.
committee.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Yeah.
Yay.
So with that
we have a
committee.
few people
Hallelujah.
and me that we're all doing.
Yep. So I know these
Yep.
two being on the one with the
Yeah.
inlays, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
Learned a lot though.
Yeah.
I know.
I learned a lot and definitely can provide that knowledge and experience with that as well. But that's also what, was interested in being more a part of it because I did enjoy that process and learning and supporting the community in that regard. So,
Thank you.
so yeah.
I'm Lori Paul, and as I'm not a resident of Philomath, I do consider myself part of the community in that I'm the founder of Maxtivity, Arts and Crafts Creative Space, and which is just down here on Main Street. And on the 16th here, we're about to celebrate 7 years since we opened our doors, and I do feel like I'm part of the community, and I really want to see Maxtivity continue to really know what's important here and what are the needs and how do we best serve families and residents and just the community as a whole. So I just really wanted to be on the committee because I love art, and I like don't even get me started on how many ways I see the benefits of having art on a personal level, but also on a community level, and that it's something that we intimately relate to, but also that we relate to holistically as we drive down the street and see what and that the art that's reflected as we go through a space is a reflection of the hearts and the values of what's right here in our community. And it just means a lot to me to be part of this community and to be able to be part of this committee in being able to establish just like that interconnectedness of who we are as a person and then how we relate to one another and then how that looks as people visually just drive down the street. And so thank you for letting me be part of all of this. And I really look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, my name is Nina Petrovich, and I've been a Philomath resident all but one of the 15 years I've lived here in Oregon. And I am an artist. I teach classes at multiple levels, multiple groups, including kids and families. And as a former preschool teacher in the Kings Valley School, charter school, I just find so much value to having art be accessible in community spaces for family engagement and learning opportunities, learning in terms of, it's a form of play that people can let themselves get involved with. That as we age, we sort of forget to do. We forget to play. And that importance of play keeps us alive and observant and connected. And I like to see more connection and engagement with young people, especially as we've entered this digital age and are also dependent on screens. And I agree with what Lori said about you can see so much about the values of a community by the look of it as you drive in. And just the Philomath, I haven't been here that long compared to a lot of people, but in the 15 years I've been here, the changes in the community have just been tremendous. And I love that we've seen the improvement with the cityscape and a little bit of cohesion as a community, but I could see it stepped up even another level. And having arts in public spaces is something I like to see them be interactive as well as visually appealing, and as well as sharing about the culture of the community, and that you can know about how welcoming and open and comfortable a place is by the art or the lack of art that you see, the visual appeal of the community, not just the artwork, but in the lack of artwork and and the kinds of buildings and the architecture and everything.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Excited to have you on the team.
I'm Monk Davis, and I'm not on the team. I'm just somebody who saw that the first I'd heard of it was this last week, that there was a committee of this sort. And yeah, I love everything that's been said here. That Lori and Nina, the idea that art defines more than just ourselves, but also the whole community. And I just think about some of the other communities that I've seen that really benefit from just setting the tone for everyone that's there. And that's why I'm here. I was curious, and I sort of haunt various places. I haven't yet clung to anything firmly in terms of what I would like to be involved in Philomath. So you may just see me come and go, but I'm not a resident of Philomath. I'm outside of the city limits. Yeah. I can yell
Yeah.
residents that live there. But yeah, I'm just fascinated by it. And this, if anything, that I can see of having value and long-term value, not that any of the other community services aren't of value, this is one that just sort of speaks to me. That's why I'm here.
Well, thank you very much.
My name is Estella Murphy. We've lived here in Philomath since 2019. I worked at OSU for a time. I think art is just a part of my fiber of core. One of my ideas I had for a church that we went to in Springfield was the kids were really bored with stories and stuff. And so I painted a landscape on one of the walls and then provided flannel so they could make up stories and then tell their stories to get the kids their like engagement going. I also did that for my father-in-law when we lived out in North Carolina. He was in a care home for dementia people and the walls were stark white. So I started painting just to paint. And one of my paintings ended up being his like world that he clung to, which was really cool because he was in the Navy. And so I painted a picture. I used to live in Hawaii. And so I painted a picture of a waterfall that I love on Kauai. And that was the picture that he clung to. Because I think that art, I'm a musician also, and I think that art is just so like culturally lost right now. And I love Philomath. I love everything about Philomath. I love the ironwork, the woodwork, the way that you guys have updated the downtown. Is just wonderful. And I'm a gardener at heart, and I think you can use art in gardens and make it just so welcoming and so people feel valued. I think, and that's the key of art, is I think that when people see art, they relate, and then all of a sudden life has a meaning. And so that's what was my hope for this committee, was to really start engaging the community to give them hope. Because Corvallis has gotten so big and they have some lovely art pieces, but they've kind of lost the goal of that. And Philomath has a chance to shine, and that's what makes me excited about being on this committee. So I love our community.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Good pep talk there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chelsea, I don't do you want to?
Oh, well, I'm Chelsea Starner. I'm the assistant city manager here in Philomath. I've been here for about 4 years, a little over 4 years. I lived in Silverton before that. I worked for the city there for about 13 years. And I just have a wide background. I did a lot of different things there.
Yeah.
And I do quite a few things here as well. But I'm glad that I get to be the staff person for this committee. It was, like Jen said, a lot of fun to do our ad hoc committee for the downtown area, and then we're going to now focus on trying to get some art there, more art there. We were successful with some art pieces, and then decided to just regroup on how to move forward with the plinths that are downtown as part of that project. So yeah, I'm excited to be here as well.
I like the bike racks too.
What's that?
Yes, the bike racks.
Yeah, the bike racks, yes, yep.
Well, hello, my name is Christopher McMorrin. I'm the mayor of Philomath. I also have done a lot of sort of artistic things, more so when I was younger, which that's a whole separate issue. But I was a bona fide theater kid growing up in the Philomath School District. And
They loved you.
it was very fun. And I did a lot, like, on stage, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And then that eventually sort of also morphed into becoming really into like filmmaking and sort of multimedia stuff. So I did a lot with that, and then eventually went to the School of Cinematic Arts at the University of Southern California, where I got a BFA in film and television production. Coincidentally, I also got a degree in political science, and we can see I happen to be using one of those more than the other right now. Exactly. Sort of, yeah, I do. Yeah. But I miss using the more creative side of my brain. Not that government can't be creative, but I think that's part of what I'm excited about with this, not to like go off on a tangent here, but I feel like something I like to talk about is that I honestly think the fundamentals of creating like engaging films, but sort of art, is similar to the fundamentals of like successful government and community engagement. It's like creating some sort of emotional connection with something people care about and then helping them use that to see the world more fully. So I'm excited about being able to embrace that for Philomath. As Chelsea said, and as I hinted at earlier, the reason we're all here tonight, and I know this on your staff, your agenda item summary, I'll just skip ahead for a second, because it ties in with what I'm doing here.
Great, do it. Go ahead.
Is
Keep talking.
that so we had our ad hoc committee that helped design some of the things for the Streetscapes project. Obviously, there's a lot of unfinished business around public art with that project. And so then the city council created this committee to both kind of finish up that project as well as make it a more permanent committee that will work to improve public art in Philomath in the long term. But the reason I say that is just to say that you already have the city council's blessing. This isn't something that you're going to need to like go to the city council and advocate for. This was identified in our top strategic priorities for the fiscal year, was to both get some public art out there as well as begin that process of coming up with the more long-term strategic art plan. So the council's already signed off on moving forward and has allocated some funding and some support. So I'm really excited about that because it's nice to have sort of that buy-in from our governing body to do this. And I just say that because I hope we have fun. I hope we are creative, but I also hope we take this seriously. Our job here is to be creative and come up with cool ideas, and then those will go back to the city council for sort of final approval. But I think the council is very anxious to see the good work that we do. So, yeah, anything I'm forgetting?
No.
Okay, great. And then we'll go over more of that in a second. But with that being said, now that we all know who each other is anyone just chomping at the bit to take over the meeting from me?
Not really, but
And just
Is that-
so that we will.
Is that, are you volunteering?
I could.
Okay. Any other volunteers or interest? Okay. Should we do a formal vote for that, or should we just,
Get consensus.
is there consensus for our new chair? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Not hearing any
Okay.
objections. So, Madam Chair, if you want to, yeah. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. And then I'll hand it over to you. I was, yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing, but I can't be the chair. So I'll turn it over to you and Chelsea to just work us through our business.
So you can just
Fit right in.
the first item.
So,
You already did the first item.
Kind of did.
our first item of business would be the Public Art Committee background and information, which we've kind of covered. I think really well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions on that? Or
Yeah, I'm just gonna speak to it a little bit more. I think Christopher did a great job. I think, so we do have kind of the purpose at the bottom of the staff report, which begins on page 1. And so, as Christopher said, this is an ad hoc committee. Really, the primary reason we made it an ad hoc committee is that we are the process of restructuring our committee code language for all of our boards, committees, commissions, to be a little bit more consistent with each other. So we thought that it would be best to just leave this as an ad hoc rather than try to adopt ordinances for this committee and then change them again. So just so everyone knows, that's why it is an ad hoc committee currently, but we
Right.
do foresee that the council is going to probably support that going into the future. So I just wanted to note that. And then I did have a couple just kind of questions for you all that are here. And one is, what level of commitment do you all, I mean, you have expressed that you're very committed to public art, but what level of commitment are you all prepared to provide for the committee? And what I mean by that is, do you see yourselves as, we want to come to these meetings and do business and, get our documents and have art come in and, do some matrix and select art pieces and refer those to the council? Or do you want to be more of a hands-on committee where you're helping to find funding opportunities, you're helping draft things, you're out in the community, you get t-shirts like the park board, things like that. And so that really is just an information gathering of who is here and what that looks like for you. It will help us kind of gauge what direction we're taking.
Jen?
If you get back to me in about 6 months, that'd be great. I'm literally just accepted a new job. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a promotion and a raise and stuff.
Great.
But as far as commitment on that end, like
Sure.
but it's a parallel job, so I don't see past the 9 to 5 part too much. So like before, like even when we had you like called on us to help like go around to businesses.
Sure.
And say, we're but
Sure.
like those type of things, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of
I can hit the
kind of that.
pavement on those
And
things.
I'm not asking for anyone, I'm not going to hold you to and say,
Yeah.
you said everything. We're going to check the temperature of.
It's something that, I think is going to be good for the city. I'm definitely eager to try and support, and I know that funding is going to be one of the biggest issues, I think, with some of these issues. Because, it's Philomath, we don't have that much money. So, yeah, but
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
able to see, and, having been that person that has a fundraise for, I think all of us have been there for that, understanding the importance of that. So.
Right, okay.
I definitely, the first part, being here and for meetings and brainstorming art opportunities and considering artists and, what are we going to do, all that. And then because Maxtivity is part of our community, there's this middle ground, right? Like we're already here to support the city. So I absolutely want to be in that partnership and see down the road, like, how do we work together to provide artists and support what the city is doing through a lens of Maxtivity. I will say, Maxtivity is also a nonprofit, and we ourselves are working at raising money and all that stuff too. And because I am the board president of Maxtivity, there is a large piece of me that is already committed to that.
Yeah.
My devotion.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
My first, I'll be, just,
No,
that's my first devotion
Yeah.
is to support Maxtivity. But in any areas where there's partnership and overlap, by all means. That's one of the reasons why I'm on the committee. But really, so yeah, just that recognition of Maxtivity and is first and foremost, and then kind of how that all works together with the city.
Great,
So, yeah.
nice. Anything else to share?
Just, I guess it depends. The reason I got involved was because it was ad hoc, first. Because I wasn't sure about my time commitment for long. Something I've thought of with, like, that's kind of why I didn't apply for the inclusion committee.
Right, that has more of a term, right?
And my kind of work is a little seasonal-ish. It's not seasonal, but it seasons, it changes. My level of busyness changes depending on the time of year. So,
So sometimes maybe.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay. And yes, I mean, even if this committee does go over into a more permanent committee,
Right,
we would have a discussion with everyone at that time
Yep.
as to their interest and
yeah.
are you wanting to, apply? We'd probably have to apply again, but
Right.
to be on that permanent committee, so we'll definitely get that.
I'll be clear, I was here on a fact-finding mission as a member of the public, so I wasn't even prepared to answer. I wasn't even prepared.
You're fine.
Sitting behind the screen. I'm trying to hear what's going on and really get feel for things. So that's where I am. And so my answer is pretty much none. I don't have any plans to be involved. So
We're glad you're here, though.
I'm
Good
very
involvement.
curious. I have an exceptional uh, uh, ability to tell good art from bad.
Well,
Excellent taste. That's why I came. I don't even expect.
We are going to have another opening on this
We are.
committee, coming up soon.
so be careful.
You could,
Fishing right now.
you could be here more permanently.
Yeah.
But you're fact-finding, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So thank you for your commitment.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I love Philomath. I am not sure.
Okay.
As far as long-term commitment,
Mhm.
I would love to own property in Philomath at some point and like hunker down here. I just love this community. I can't even, my neighbors and I swap vegetables over the fence. And,
I love that phrasing, hunker down.
so, I am a member of a church and I play piano there and I'm, like, we're getting ready to do Christmas season. So my schedule is starting to get like ballistically crazy
Yeah.
busy. And I'm sure with everybody it's that way. But I am excited for like January to come and for us to be planning for spring and to be like doing get ready for spring projects and maybe do some rolling art and have like I noticed in one of the cities that they had a certain limit of time that they would have art displayed. And I was like, oh gosh, springtime would be so cool because the vineyards haven't opened up yet, and we could get some connections and maybe do some stuff with some of the local vineyards and get them promoted into the art. And I just am like, my brain just starts like clicking, going, oh, yay.
Well, we'll check back in. It's a big question to ask the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
night,
yeah.
but I did put you on the spot a little bit. And kind of following up on the Maxtivity discussion. So Sarah, the director of Maxtivity, has had discussions with, I know you and me and the city manager and has recently come to the city council. And I mean, that is another question in our packet. I did include in the back the previous community art group, the plan that they came up with.
What page are you on?
I think it starts on 33. So that plan, that group was not a city group. There actually wasn't an official city contact in that organization at all. There was an employee that worked for the city who happened to be on that committee, but not as a city employee, if that makes sense. They were just there on their own time. And so that is one of the questions for the future of art in Philomath is whether or not we should move toward a structure like that, which may be something that's more involved with Maxtivity and is kind of a hybrid group that doesn't necessarily belong to the city, but that the city helps facilitate or helps with some funding for. So that's kind of just looking at a little bit into the future of art. I don't know what happened to that committee. I'm not sure when it dissolved or stopped being a committee, but they obviously did some work in getting the plan together, and they did get some art pieces. I believe they put in the art piece at the Dale Collins Park, which is where the reader board is, right off the highway. And maybe the art piece that's at City Park as well. So I know they worked on getting a few pieces of art for the community. So So that's another discussion is what, what direction, because obviously like everyone else, we also have limited staff. We're not an art organization. And we are a community organization, but we are a small city, and to heavily lift the art for the whole community is going to be a lot for us, and kind of potentially take away from some other things. So it's going to be a decision ultimately on if our governing body wants to say, well, we see that we may have to not do these things, so that that can be something that we're doing more. And it seems that potentially the best structure for like the future and the most success is to have maybe an organization that does have more ownership from some different groups, because then you're spreading out that lift,
Yep.
Yep.
rather than kind of putting the most of the lift on one organization. So we're excited. Just talking with Sarah has been great, just to have her out in the community and looking for art out in the community. So I think we're both excited about some of those ideas that we've heard come up. So that's really all I had to add to that agenda item. Unless anyone has anything else to add. Okay. Take it away.
So now we're down to the second item, which is temporary art program, which, let's go to page 3 and just kind of check that out.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. So when you do it, you can always kind of turn it over to the, like, it might say Christopher might be on there, the mayor. We'll call him Christopher because it's a little less,
You have to call me Your Honor.
Your Honor. I mean, it's the council meetings, but so just for, you can do that. You can say, here's the item and I'm introducing it, or maybe it's something that you weighed in on and you want to speak to it, but just, you can always feel free to say, here, speak.
Here.
There you go. Okay, so on this one, I did put my name on it, but Christopher and I have talked pretty extensively about this idea. So I'll intro it a little bit, and then if you
Sure.
want to add on. So overall, we do like the idea of more art in Philomath. At the moment, our focus is the downtown core where the plinths are. Those are the concrete structures that people wonder what they are.
Yeah.
Are they benches? Are they? We don't know what they are.
Yeah. Has everyone seen those?
Can you real quick tell me where the locations are, like the corner of blah, 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 or I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are
somewhere.
There is
cement things that I
okay.
thought were like
Yeah.
drainage things or
Correct.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The big cement, like.
Yeah, they're
I
big.
thought they were
concrete.
drainage things.
No. Yeah. Those are for art pieces, mostly.
Yeah.
And they,
Are they all on Main Street?
no, they're being displayed. Yeah, so there's one kitty corner here.
Yeah.
Just for my dog to be.
No,
Across, I
they're like 4 feet.
Maybe, would you get?
I think there are 13.
There's
They're great.
13.
Is that what's in the map?
there a map?
There is not of those, no.
I know we
Yeah.
made one at one.
We will bring that for future. We'll be talking a little bit more about where to focus, which might be in the quarter.
They're,
Yeah.
again, I thought they were drainage covers things, so they're like bench height.
Waist high.
They're bench, like you can
Not
sit
like
on
that.
them.
I see,
Like knee
Yeah,
height.
like a bench.
Your
My
your
knee,
knee.
yeah.
Christopher.
But
They're,
yeah, I guess just those were put in as part of the Streetscapes project, always with the intent of putting sculptures or public art on them. I've used the analogy with our city council that it feels like we built a museum full of picture frames with nothing but picture frames.
I didn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would like plinth, yes. So I would like to put something in those picture frames or on those plinths. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your.
No, that's fine. So our most immediate goal is to try to find a plan. I will come back with more information about that. So this meeting is really kind of an intro meeting, not a decision meeting. It's to introduce this topic. I can come back with what we think we have available for budget
Yeah.
for this fiscal year that we could use to temporarily get some pieces of art there. There are a number of things that are that will need to be considered, one of which is how you're fixing them. So
That was my
Yeah,
first
when I-
thought. How are you fixing?
right, when I've
And
looked
they're
into these,
concrete.
they're concrete.
Yeah.
So they're going to have some sort of metal, something affixed to them. From what I see on the programs that do temporary, they say, here you go, here's where the threads are here, and you have to somehow, with your art, make it so that you can come, put it on there and
Yeah.
get it bolted down. So, no, so we don't have those.
I was gonna
complete,
say, yeah, I don't-
It would have been a good thing to think about,
Right.
but we didn't. Yeah.
I wasn't here during that decision-making process because I'm the type of person that would have said, wait a minute. But that's just how my brain works.
But yeah, they're basically just big solid
Yeah,
blocks.
they're solid blocks. So our more immediate
Not
need
trying to
is
be
to
something-
try to get maybe 2 to 4, depending on the funding and how much we think it's going to cost us to essentially lease some art and make it available for people to put the art there, because that's going to take some money. So we want to try to do that by
So
the
we're talking 3.
3 to 4 is
No,
the
3D.
hope. Oh, sure,
I'm
sculptures.
assuming that's the style we're going.
Yeah,
I
of
think
some
that's part of what
sort.
we talked
Yeah, that's part of what we'll talk about. Part of why we want artists
The
here.
picture frame would be weird looking.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Hey, hey,
Yeah, but the traffic's only one way.
you do like a blank canvas.
Permanent or temporary?
Temporary. So the reason why it's
Rotating?
not, we hope to not have rotating. So the hope is that this is temporary to get some art down there. So we want people to see these are plinths and art belongs on them.
So temporary and then permanent.
And then permanent. So then
I
this
gotcha.
committee is going to help with a more cohesive downtown art. Yes,
Yeah.
so.
Just to chime in on that. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I think the reason that, so there's sort of two
parts.
Yeah, like a two-part mission for this committee.
I see.
I think the big picture mission for this committee is to come up with like a long-term public art plan. And maybe there is an element of that that could be some kind of rotating thing, or maybe it's totally
Somewhere
fine.
else, maybe it would be somewhere
Right.
else in the community.
That's
not
part of what
necessarily
this committee is
downtown.
tasked with figuring out, is that long-term art plan. We just, the council realized, and staff realized, I think that might take a while to, that might take, a year or two to come up with a really robust plan and
I
figure out.
see.
And we don't want to
Commission
wait
the art.
years more to have art
Right.
out there. So that's why we have this two-part thing. We want to just get some art out there and we also
Like,
think.
this is where art will go.
Exactly, yeah. We also think
There's an
hopefully
idea.
that can help the community see like, oh, wow, this is cool. And then, as we're trying to get the word out for artists or get fundraising or something, be like, look, do you like this?
Yeah.
Help us do more of it. So it's sort of this two-part of just get some temporary art out there. I mean, if we find some cheap permanent art.
Yeah, we may be open to that as
I
well.
won't turn it down. But do sort of the, yeah. But yeah,
Sculpture artist studio, right?
that is true. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, but yeah, that's kind of how we're viewing it. It's just do like part one in classic government fashion of kind of like a pilot program. And
Get
then
people
part
excited.
two, yeah. So
Oh, I would be-
follow it up, once we've had a
Yes.
chance to do a full sort of long-term plan, then start.
Are you envisioning, so like, I know, to use an example, like in Chicago, they had the Cows on Parade that ended up being so popular. Are you guys familiar?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you should Google
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Definitely Google that. It got so popular.
Deals in report.
Probably, yeah, it's very similar. So it got so popular, they even started selling little miniatures.
Oh my God, okay. That's cool.
So they were all the same cow, but then, or a cow, but like some were like ballerina cows and some were, so it became just a touristy thing that people went to
cool.
Chicago and then, selfies. and all
Yes.
this stuff.
And that is one of the ideas. The idea that Sarah from Maxivity brought is similar to that. It's one style. I think the one that she showed was like wood rounds, because we have this history. And then each artist does something totally different with it. So it has the cohesiveness.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the same idea. Yeah, that's what I can see.
Yes.
Thematic.
So, yeah, so
I
we'll
can even see like the sculpture, log sculptures, not necessarily.
Sure. Great.
That's very cool.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, carve
Yeah.
lots.
Or, yeah,
That's a great idea.
log.
So that's
Me, it's
very well. Thanks for joining us. It's hard when you sit at the table.
We struggle.
There's only, 6 people.
Thanks for being here.
So yes, so in the future, that's the next step will be that, but we do.
The first step is here's where we're gonna.
Right, and that's what we're primarily going to focus our energy on. We do have the next agenda item, which is there is a draft art plan that it's really no feelings hurt if we want to work through it. It's just a draft and a place to start. But before we get to that, I just put it in here so that people have time to look through it as you're, whatever, sitting around at fire and you want to read it, you can. But in the meantime, what is really needed is how we are going to get this temporary art program in place, get a few pieces of art. I did find this Happy Valley Sculpture Garden, which is kind of this temporary art program that they do. I spoke with the city contact that facilitates this program, and he said it's been really successful. Their honorarium is $1,000 for the sculptures, which I think is really reasonable. So you're essentially leasing. And then, of course, there are a bunch of rules and criteria, and our attorneys will probably have things to say about some of that as well, which I haven't run this by them yet. Yeah, surprise. But Happy Valley has attorneys too, so I'm sure that this has already been through some attorneys. But that's kind of what we're wanting to get, like at our next meeting. What would be really nice is if, we want to hear from the artists saying, this doesn't seem feasible, or like I just said, how are they going to affix it to those plinths? Go drive by and look at the plinths that are on the corners most of through downtown. And just look at those and think about that and think about having some temporary sculptures and what you think would make more successful. So when we put out a call for this art, that we feel like we're in a good place. And because I did give this example on page 5 of what Happy Valley put out, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is a great place to start, but I would love if you all could go through that and just see if you see anything in there that you think should be conveyed from the community in Philomath, or just that doesn't seem like it would work for most artists. We want to know that. We don't want to put it out there and then have no one respond and wonder, why did no one respond? Well, because no one does that style of whatever, or no one puts that media outside. So that's what we're looking for, is that good feedback on that. And then the agreement, like I said, the contract, I guess it is on page 7. This is Happy Valley's contract. It's they've been doing this for a number of years. It seems like it's working for them. But again, if you see anything in there from your respective areas that you feel strongly about, again, you can comment on that, and that'll give us a good starting point. And then hopefully after that meeting, we can get all of that drafted, and the next meeting that we would have, we would say, this looks good, let's put it out, and we'll put it out and see what we get.
Yeah. So just to clarify, you don't need to chime in on all that tonight.
No.
This is more homework
Yeah,
for
right.
the next meeting. But
Right.
yeah.
Tell me there's.
Reading it all.
Yeah, we're talking about commitment levels,
Yes.
Requirement.
I do have a question.
Yes.
How do we get like bids on how to make those cement blocks usable for artists to come in, and ideas on, do we drill holes so they can put their stuff in there, or do we provide an outstanding screw that sticks up like they do at OSU, and then they can attach their art to it to secure it, or how much is the cost to get those things to where they're art friendly?
Yeah, and that is one of the things. I mean, if you all know people who have done public art, if you could if you have networks, reach out to your networks and say, "Hey, hello, have you done any public art pieces, temporary or permanent? How are those being affixed?
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you hate to see?"
Yeah,
The
yeah.
city does this and then you show up, what is like, that's it, I want to leave. We all work with that.
I think the city, we're willing to do
Right.
whatever. We don't really,
Right.
like, if we need to drill holes in the things, we
Right.
attach screw, we don't really care.
We just need to know.
Just whatever would be most useful to
What's
the
our
art. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking for, that is one of the primary. Right,
I
right.
mean, it would make sense that we just do one set.
Yes, agree.
Yes, so you do
All the areas
something, yes. And generally, from what I am reading, it's something that they're used to doing if they are doing this kind of outdoor
Right.
public art installation. They know, it's just that I do not speak that language. And so I need to know what that is and make sure that we're.
Is it a standard 5/8 inch?
Right.
Or
I mean,
something?
I'm talking, we need,
Right.
yes. So once we get those details, we can have our Public Works Department and me help them. Because they'll say, what is this? It's very specific. But I will help them get that taken care of so that we get to we have art to select. We have that in place already.
Yeah.
So we'll be working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is such a bummer when they didn't just put it in the
I-
cement setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's usual to have it put in after. I'm not really sure. I don't know how that works.
We're gonna play it by ear.
We are.
Yeah, it's all gonna
So
work out.
this is,
It's gonna work.
it's new for Philomath, right?
Like I said, I mean, the council did budget for some of this, so we have like, depending on what we discover, more of that budget might need to go towards just the infrastructure to install the art, or, some of it might go towards the actual art itself, but we have some wiggle room, so it's not like, oh, it's gonna cost, some
And I
money.
haven't looked, obviously, all the details. Are we saying also that we want to limit this to Philomath residents, or is this
I think that would be
open Benton County?
That would be something we can decide. It could also be like on a rubric, like maybe
Yeah,
you
we'll
get
probably
extra
do a
points if
rubric.
you're from Philomath, you're not disqualified if you're not. Or so, like you get 5 points if you live in Philomath, or 3 points if you live in Benton County, or 1 point if you live in Oregon, or something like that. I think that's something the committee can.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And we do
I
have,
like that. Because
Right.
otherwise, honestly, we've got, obviously OSU and
yes,
that's a wealth of information, and we do a graphic design program
yes,
in want to discount the value.
yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Resources, so
Right.
gross.
Yeah, I will be looking a little bit more into that because obviously, I don't know if this is obvious, I don't know if everyone knows this, but public entities have really precise procurement rules for purchasing things. We have a lot of things we can and cannot do. We have to make things publicly available. Sometimes we cannot say we want it to only be people here because that would be excluding other people from being able to potentially benefit from public funds. But there are ways that we could potentially do that, and a lot of it depends on dollar amount. So if you're talking something that's $100,000, we might have a stricter criteria. Whereas if we're talking about a couple $1,000s, we may have a lot more room to be able to put some of those criteria in. So I have a lot of procurement experience and some kind of wonky ones that are different. So I'll be kind of thinking through that and reading through the code and making sure that we can set things up so that we have that ability to choose the art that works for us here. Yeah.
Well, one of the things is that promoting local art is great, but also if we did like promoting Oregon art, and like you said, have that level. So like if you're from Benton County, you get this much. If you're outside of Benton County, then we need to figure out what would work good for you.
Yeah.
But because I think everybody in Philomath is like a big Oregon go hung, yay.
I'd really like to add on to that, having, anyway, I won't characterize that with what I was thinking, but just that I think it's very important to Philomath to capture the identity of Philomath and not all of Oregon.
Right.
And I would like to see it tied to the land and prior to pioneer occupation.
Well, you notice we did that with
particularly.
the inlays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
That was
did
a big,
similar work with our
yeah,
other
that was an
art as well.
important part of that original.
Yes.
The rodeo and all that kind of stuff. We recognize the indigenous culture and influence of the land. Yeah.
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 And I appreciate that. And that those are the kinds of conversations. And we did that on our last committee. We did have the way that we put information out there for artists, kind of made it so if you don't know about Philomath and you can't show us that you have other art pieces or have done other work that feels like what we're looking for, they're not going to score, even if they are very high, even if they submit, right? Because we're going to be looking for, as we were when we did our other art pieces here, we were looking for people who understood that and were very close to Philomath and could show us things that, reflected that. So
We have like a thing like demonstrated knowledge of the Philomath.
I'll look back at what we did with our last pieces because I know that we talked a lot about this and
Because I
had
also
some language, yeah.
like I mean I get from like a economic perspective, it's nice to pay artists who live here, but from a artistic perspective, I feel like if there's someone who really understands the community but they live in Junction City, as long as the art is going to encapsulate
People who are
Philomath,
driving by don't know if the artist where they live or. Yeah.
Or maybe it's someone who grew up here and now they live in
Oh, yeah.
Los Angeles, but they, know, that kind of stuff. I just feel
Well,
like,
and
yeah.
we had several artists that submitted that were part of the area tribes
Mhm.
that did not live here, but they did live in the area and they did very much understand the connection to the land in Philomath. So that's another thing is, you do want to think about, you don't want to be pushing people out unintentionally in a way. So it is something to be thoughtful about. But if you have things that you're brainstorming, those are things that I would like to include. Bring those for next time. Absolutely.
Yeah, just want to make sure that's captured in whatever rubric or
Yeah.
criteria we discuss, whether or not it was done before.
My math teacher at Lane Community College was part of the engineering team that designed the new bridge on I-5 that goes over the river. And they were really careful to interview the Kalakua and make sure that the artwork reflected the native. So if you like on the cement and stuff, if you drive over the Willamette on I-5, there's a bunch of artwork there. And if it's kind of hard to slow down there unless you want to get hit. But if you pull over to the emergency lanes, it's amazing what they did. And so I really think that there's a lot of benefit from, making sure that we're welcoming everybody into this conversation. So
Mm-hmm. We definitely did that as well with the art committee.
yeah,
We reached out to some folks with
Even with
where we
including
ended up.
the translation of the English into.
Yeah, we did. We did. So,
And
give a little bit of history on that.
I didn't really finish my thought that when I mentioned the connection to the land, I think is important. And when I did say including prior to pioneers, I don't mean to exclude pioneer culture, because one thing I have learned moving to Oregon from other places, from out of state, is how important the pioneer culture is here. So I don't want the public aspect of my remark to be isolated to that portion of it. That portion is extremely important to me. It's one of the things that I would like to ensure. And, because I think it's so important. We are not that in our current culture and community that one does not exclude,
Right.
as I know you're all in agreement with.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just want to make it clear that was my intention
Thank
when I
you.
started.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, no, that makes sense, and I appreciate that.
We could almost do a trip kind of thing, like you're going, from Indigenous and then you go in Oregon Trail and then you come.
I could see that as, I don't know, when you say it, that feels in my body as potentially traumatic.
Mhm. Yeah,
I just want the art to be so beautiful that people slow down while driving down
there you
Main Street.
go. It looks
That's-
nice. Love it.
But also keep their eyes on the road. Yes.
There you go. Ah, yeah.
Get out.
Look at our, yeah.
Be-
Yeah, go, yeah, and like spend an hour or two here, right?
I'm assuming none of those lights that tell you when you need a cross. There is light in this.
No, there's one in the budget for next year.
That's true.
Okay.
It's just replacing the existing crossing at like Eats and Treats. That one kind of sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get to the library? Like you literally right over here.
That's actually not a bad idea. That's a separate.
We're looking down here.
discussion, but yeah. We're talking
I'm
about
separate.
Actually, I had almost it.
Yeah, so
this is the police
two,
committee.
yes.
Oh, no, we're under here.
Yeah. So, yes.
As I'm doing my homework and since I haven't had a chance to look at this
Yeah.
yet, but I will, is there, I see for the Happy Valley sculpture, they had $1,000 budget for sculpture, but is there a budget in here for Philomath yet? Or is that on the next committee?
I guess how many posts?
Yeah, so we, like currently for temporary, we do not want to undertake, even if we had enough money to put one on every plinth, we don't want to undertake that project. It's too large of a project. So we're looking probably for 4 max. It does depend on how much money we have to spend. Yeah, is what we're generally thinking. If we had to,
And is this $1,000 about in the ballpark, would you guess, or who knows?
right,
Oh.
it depends a little, but also, I mean, that's what Happy Valley has been doing, and they have been having art submitted and having people bring the art. And so, and this is recent, so I do feel like generally maybe that is reasonable.
Ballpark.
Again, it's really like leasing the art, so we're not.
I was gonna say, they can still turn around and
It's-
sell it.
They can, absolutely.
Because we're buying it.
Because it's not.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think that's
Yeah.
good.
Like display thing for people to put their contact information in with.
I see. Maybe. Yeah, we also have talked in our previous meeting, we have designers that worked on some of
Right.
the aspects. Well, they did our inlays, and we had talked to them about potentially doing some, I don't want, like, not an app, but just some materials that you could access from a phone or
QR code that they could scan and then find out.
so that you could find out the information. So that would be much easier for the city to keep up with how limited our resources are. Because
Especially if it's gonna be changing.
we could keep up a web page where we're like updating that, and that would be something that we could easily do. So yes, we'll look at that.
Yeah, I just actually went on a cruise to Alaska and in, I can't remember what city it was. So our focus was the indigenous culture this time. So, and one of them had voices, that was Juneau, now I know. So they had, and it was all online, but then you walked around the city and you listened to
Oh,
it on
yeah.
your phone, and then you walked to the different art installations and then you heard the story, and they were all the indigenous
Yeah.
culture stories of it. So that's
That's
a,
cool.
you could see something like that too, like because that's the web based. I thought it was an interesting way to add more interactive
Right,
piece to it and
right.
history to it, yeah.
Yeah. So just, yeah, to recap, the pages 7, not 7, page 5 through 12 are the pages that I would love for you to focus on for next time.
Okay.
Kind of go through those, see if anything is screaming to you. Again, the less we can change about this has already been gone through by another city and city, governmental, lawyerly things. So it's good if we can not try to change too much, because then we will send it to our people and they'll say, no, you can't do that. So just if it's anything technical that you just don't, is not really saying, that is really, we'll just leave the technical stuff because it's technical. But if you do see something that kind of really screams out to you for some reason, like that just doesn't seem right or seem like it will work, please bring those comments back. And again, just the call for artists, less than the contract, which is just another lot for reference. It's at pages 5 and 6. Again, what we would have more information included, like pictures of the plinths, where they are located. We'll provide that information. So that basic information, we'll be doing that. But anything else, even so much as timelines, do you have a recommendation that you think, knowing people in the art community, there are some types of work where people that's what they do all day, and they have people who submit things and they need 2-week turnarounds, fine. And then there are other people who are maybe independent and they're trying to work and they have to get to it themselves, and maybe a 4 or 6-week timeline is more reasonable to give them time. So, so that's what I'm looking forward to for our next meeting is that. And I think from that, we'll be able to just get a good document and get it out the door. And
I think, we can try to maybe bring them, if we can, like the map of where the plinths
Yes.
are, just to give people an
Right.
idea, some more detail,
Right.
like budget and stuff.
yeah, and maybe some suggestions for what we're looking at
Yeah.
for the locations at this time for the
Yeah.
temporary.
Yeah, like which ones you want to
Feedback on
focus
that.
on, like if you were to rank them, like these are our
Yeah.
top 4, maybe you already know the first 4 would be, or,
In my mind, which obviously I'm not the only mind, but I think it would make the most sense to sort of start at 13th and Main, since that's the epicenter of downtown activity where people are walking around, and then kind of go out from there. So if we do 2, we just do like 13th and 12th. If we do 4, we do like 13th, 12th, 14th or something, and and then if we do 6, just kind of start at 13th and Main, and then however many we can afford or how many we want to do, just kind of go out from there would be my preference.
Sure.
But just because I think I want it to be where people are likely to be walking or waiting for a
notice
table to
them.
end or waiting for their pizza to be done. And
Yeah.
walk over here, look at this, not like, put one
Yeah,
down.
we
like
have
this.
some locations that are more drive-by.
Exactly. Yeah. There's one like down by like the new credit union
Yeah.
thing or something, which is great.
It's great now that
But
the
like,
credit
if we want
unions
people to
have
sit
time,
past
there's
it,
nothing. Great.
with no light shining. So
So,
I think
yes.
that's
And
down.
that's future as well.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Right.
I guess we could also look at which plinths have the new overhead lighting.
That's true.
Near them.
We have the new streetlights. They're very bright, by the way.
Yeah. there.
Before
So,
5 in the
Christopher, when you're out walking,
Right.
please note in your mind which plinths you think there's something you could do. Yes, exactly. Yeah, do that.
They're not automatic.
They are.
Figured out. Yeah, sorry.
Having an accident really, you go look, they're not upside down.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically giant park ants. Oh, they are, yeah.
So, I think the next item is our next meeting will be in December. Or did I miss?
Let's do the number 3. I'm just going to very briefly talk about that.
The public art plan.
Yeah. Number 3. Is that okay?
Okay, because I thought we had already done that, but.
No, but we're going to. But
Go back.
the number 3 is just that future public art plan. It starts on page 13. And I just have a little bit of information there. Just keep that information. Like I said, this is a draft art plan that we are going to more extensively look at after we work through our temporary art plan process. And again, some of the conversation was, do we want this to be a city focused plan? Do we want to bring some more groups into it? It would be a great time to say Maxtivity wants to be heavily involved with this, so we're going to make this a partnership art plan. That's a time that we can do that, but we will work on that in the future. Like I said, I just wanted to give you plenty of time because these things can be very technical. There's a lot of technical information about maintaining art and paying for art. It's very technical, I know, but it is part of a successful plan. We have some art now. There is not a maintenance plan, maintenance program. it's just there. And
Okay.
we would like to make sure that that art and future art has a plan.
Yep.
So, and again, I did put this secondary document, the older document, in there just as a reference to
Yeah.
what some other folks did for Philomath.
So is your idea that the plinths will be this kind of rotating community thing that will continue to rotate, or that you're wanting that to be the permanent structure?
I mean, we can discuss it. I think the main idea has been that it will be the art in that area that is there for a long time, probably, that we want to ground Philomath and kind of like some of the other ideas that we talked about where it's, that you can go there and this is there and it's part of the downtown, but it's open for discussion.
That's part of what the committee.
Yeah, I mean, if the committee says, wouldn't it be great if that rotated every 5 years? Well, let's talk about that
Right.
and see, what those suggestions are. And you're here.
Right.
like
I just didn't know if we
Christopher
wanted
said.
to consider any 2D ideas as well that could be implemented on
I
sides
mean,
of walls.
Oh, sure,
Right.
eventually.
be part of what I hope the public art plan to be. I think right now we're just focused on the plinths because like right now, like I said, we have a bunch of empty picture frame with pictures in it.
Yeah.
But for the public art.
Well, nobody
plan-
knows what they are anyways.
Well, that's very true. Just like a weird
They're going to
bench.
stand.
You're surrounded by a bunch of trees that you
Right,
can't get to.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question because I think in my mind, at least, the public art plan is sort of this all-encompassing vision of public art for the community. So that would include the
Right.
plinths in downtown, but could also include murals or could also include,
Future
other
projects.
types of visual
Right.
art or something that we want to, really lean into. So that would go in that kind of long-range plan. We're not
We don't need to have all the answers for
Right.
this plan.
I think part of it is just the government bureaucracy side of because the council put the downtown art in the strategic plan, it means that we have to get that done by June 30th, 2026. Whereas the rest of this, there's no
Okay, there is a time.
yeah, there is.
Here.
Yes. Or at least the council has directed staff to get it done. So if there's a legitimate reason it can't happen, the staff can come back and explain that to the council, but that is
It's
the
a goal.
council's direction.
Excavation is
Hopefully,
Be the goal.
not the whole art plan, just that we would have
Yeah,
art pieces in place downtown by June 30th. Yes,
Uh,
which I think is very,
that's true.
which I think is very reasonable for temporary art.
Yes,
We're not asking anyone to
and it's only 4
make
pieces.
art for this. We're saying, what do you have in your barn that you would like to basically loan to the city for a while? So that's what we're really looking for.
So, I just say that as we have sort of this self-imposed or imposed by the council deadline for the temporary piece, but there's no, if we want to take 2 years making a really in-depth public art plan, that's fine. If it only takes a year, that's also fine. That's a little more flexible, so,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, the art plan itself is a starter plan. Plans can be amended and changed and grow. It is not something that we have to get completely perfect to pass it to the council and ask them to adopt it. We just want to have something in place so that then if a project comes up and the council says, or a community member comes to the council and says, what about putting art over here, wherever it is, that we can say, great, we have this plan, we know how to do that, here's how we do it, and we don't have to scramble and spend a bunch of time figuring out how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of the questions I had, and I didn't know if this falls in this, or is this a public safety thing, or is it the roads? So again, back to the sidewalks and the speeding that exists in those 2 main roads. I've read a study about including public art in the sidewalk, at the crosswalks, crosswalks. So for example,
Like in the middle?
in the middle, and I got this idea when we were in Springfield, and
Like Portland does?
like Portland does, they put the rain, and then in
Painted on.
Springfield, Springfield, they
I was
put.
envisioning putting statues in the
Yeah.
middle of the road.
No, Judy. Big picture, not the image.
Yeah.
But in Springfield, they had this area that was this author, this mural of this author, but then they had his books in as the crosswalks. But I was like, oh, that would be fruit if you put that in front of the library.
ODOT is not going to allow us
That's what I
to
was
do
wondering.
that. Yeah. It's a highway.
State.
Yes,
Okay.
We
I would
can't
say-
even go fix Main
right.
Street.
Yeah.
It's very
Yes,
frustrating.
it's very,
It's like
very
really
technical. And,
Yeah.
pedestrian in downtown,
Right.
and it's so dangerous right now. It's still so dangerous
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah.
Unless they do it at a light, and then
Right.
they can rush the point
Yeah.
about the crosswalk.
Yeah.
So that's why I wasn't curious. And there is a study actually that if you have them where they're decorated, then people look at them and they slow down. And they pay
Yeah,
attention
that makes sense.
to pedestrians. There's actually been tons of studies. Seattle had a study, Portland had a study.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing to think about for the public art plan.
for other
Our
areas.
city-owned streets.
Anybody's gonna hit me.
Maybe around schools.
Pioneer people fly down that way
Right,
too.
yeah, just, yeah, but just, I think that would be an appropriate thing for us to talk about in the public.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was, public, but then it's
Yeah.
of ODOT owned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The same thing would work when you paint on the electric boxes that are on the corners of crosswalks, because I notice every single one of those. And I love when they're themed to the town.
Yeah.
There is a bus stop,
And
right?
that slows.
You can tell I'm fixated on the library.
I can see that.
Because I'm very perplexed why right in front of the library / city hall,
Yeah.
that seems to be the most dangerous crosswalk in this town.
Yeah,
Well,
people won't, it's so true, they won't stop.
well, I feel like it's also,
But yet the one over on 7th by where I live, there's a light, and I'm just like, why is that even there? Oh, okay. Well, that would happen.
well, yes,
It's dark anymore. People are-
yeah.
That makes sense.
But anyway, but I hear the point, it shouldn't take someone dying to do something.
Okay, that's good to know, so I'll
Yeah.
drop that in my.
It almost sounds like police committee.
It does kind of.
Such does.
They have the flashing lights over there on.
They don't have it on the one in front of the library.
Oh, I know, but that's something that we could maybe suggest.
I think that goes into.
That is
that's-
police
that's what it
committee.
is. That's
So,
police,
you heard her from-
public safety. That's why I prefaced
Yes.
this.
Was it, is it? Yes.
I know there's a
think it's-
study that did.
Yes. And I think it's an
But your point is that
interesting conversation.
The art actually.
If we're doing it.
Yes.
Finishing safety beacons are squarely in the realm of this committee.
I think it's probably all in the realm of public safety, and then that committee said, hey, or a committee, why don't you, let's refer that to you. That's how that would be referred to. Yeah,
I'll just get that out of my brain, is that
for now, but
when I started this.
yeah, sure.
No, I can't do it, so.
I think I'll just like a thought to share, and maybe this is more for next meeting, but something for us to think about as we, approach the next meeting. And I know Chelsea was talking about sort of the long-term plan. Do we want this to be permanently a city function? Do we want it to be more private, nonprofit that works with the city function? I'll just say I have been involved in both local government and nonprofit boards, and there are distinct advantages and disadvantages to both. I'll just say the couple little ones that come to mind I think are good to think about with this. The first one is that the government is forever and nonprofits come and go. So that is, like for example, that's why the city owns Frog and Rodeo grounds, because when those were being transferred from the family that owned them, they wanted to make sure that they were transferring ownership to somewhere that would always
Forever.
be here. I guess knock on wood, but the city's not going to just go away if I decide I don't want to be mayor anymore. Whereas sometimes nonprofits do go away if the board quits or something.
Right.
So that's one thing to think about with this. On the flip side, especially for something that requires fundraising, obviously the city collects taxes, but it's a lot easier for at least in my experience, for nonprofits and kind of community organizations to do that kind of public fundraising piece, because right when the city asks for money, everyone's like, we already paid your taxes, why do you want money? Whereas if Philomath Community Services asks for money, everyone's like, oh my god, of course.
Yeah.
So just and it is really the only exception to that is the school district. People pay taxes
Sure.
and they still love to give money to the schools, which is great. But
Fair enough.
just think about that, and if there's some way of doing maybe like Chelsea was talking about, some kind of hybrid where we can have the stability of the city, but have some of the operations.
Corporate sponsorship.
We don't have one, so
Well, let's say, for example, you get the $1,000 is in front of the Dizzy Hen, and then Dizzy Hen fronts the $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get a say, sponsored by Dizzy Hen. on the base of the
I
thing.
think we'd be,
I think
that's
we'd be-
something. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Similar things like for me.
I can't imagine that's a huge advertising for
Right.
that small amount of money.
Sure.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's what we do for music in the park, like the thing sponsored by Pioneer
Sponsored programs.
It's
Their names are
So,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
Yeah, and we just generally accept those as donations. So for like music in the park, they're sponsorship donations.
But that would be, especially when you're thinking about location, that could also be the deciding factor of the location is put the art in front of your business if you pay for the $1,000
If you
thing.
want to sponsor it.
If you want to sponsor it, we'll
Yeah.
put it in front of you. That's another way of deciding where it goes.
Yeah, write that idea down and bring that to our next meeting for sure.
Sponsorships.
Yeah.
I would love if that started getting petty and it's like Oregon State Credit Union sponsored the one in front of Citizens Bank.
To have the-
Eats and Treats sponsors the one in front of Dizzy Hen. You know?
Puts it in front of Easton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like a sculpture of a loaf of bread. Anyway, we're off track.
Our next part of agenda is proposed next meeting date of December 10th. Can I get
Heavily opposed to that.
anybody opposed?
I don't disclose
Conflict?
anything about your personal life on the live TV.
Okay.
Give anyone information. Just say I am not available that day.
Okay. I'm not available that day.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
I am available that day.
okay. How about you?
I'm available.
Okay, we'll play it by ear. I may send out some alternate dates. Are
Okay.
you, okay, I'll just get a hold of you and see what
Okay.
we can do that.
For the most part, my schedule is wide.
And how does everyone feel about this time? I know that because we'd asked for just the one date, we were just looking for a date to have our meetings. Do you like this late of a time? Do you like an earlier time? Do you
I
want me to send
personally prefer earlier, just because then I can get home, whereas this is kind of like right at the dinner time, feed the dog.
Sure.
Right in the.
Is anyone opposed to having it a little bit earlier, like at 5:30? Would that,
Oh, on
Be a
Wednesdays,
hardship.
it would be better earlier.
great, okay. How about- Are you,
I can make.
Yeah, no, you obviously.
I can do,
You don't know.
This city.
well, I can do my classic, like, tune into the first 5 minutes from the car and then
Yep.
stumble in.
You've done that.
that.
Not for a while, though. You've been-
Yeah, I know. Well,
you haven't
because
done that for a
I've
while.
been working
I know,
now, so.
yeah, okay. Great, okay, well, we'll keep that date of December 10th at 5:30. I'll reach out if I have some alternate dates and I'll talk to you and see what we can do on that to try to see if you can make it so everyone can be there, but just put it down for now and then we'll.
And are you sending out another calendar invite, or do we want to have us?
Crystal will likely send a calendar invite to you. So I think she does that for most all of her committees and meetings at this
Perfect.
point.
And
Yeah.
did you all sign up for the, okay, good.
Great.
Notifications?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, good.
Yeah, those are great. That's our new system.
Yeah,
and-
we
You
love
like
it.
it?
It is a little hard sometimes to get new members to sign up for it, and then they say, wait, I didn't get a packet. Okay, this is how you get the packet. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you'll get packets through there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you need anything, again, you can email me, email Christopher. I'm the primary staff person. Crystal is our recorder, so you will see a lot of businessy things come from her, but she's just kind of coordinating meetings so that I don't have to send meeting notices and send the packet out and do things like that. So she assists us with that. So, yeah. Anything else that anyone wants to add?
Any other things?
Oh, new business, old business, that kind of
Do
stuff.
we have new business? No, because we're having a meeting on
Yeah,
next
we
month
don't-
that we're gonna bring up.
Yeah,
We'll
that'll
bring
be
up
when
our
we
business
present the
later.
new
Yeah.
business.
And, if there is, obviously, we're keeping this casual here, so like, this isn't a hard and fast. But it's always helpful if there is something that you want included in next month's packet or on the agenda, to send it to Chelsea at
Mhm.
least a week before the meeting.
Yeah, that way we can tell the public about it so they
Yeah.
can know, oh, they're going to talk about that art piece in
Right.
front of my house. I want to come talk about that.
Yeah.
So we just try to make sure we get it out.
And even if it's like, you found some example of some great art or something, you can send that
Put
to
it-
Chelsea.
okay.
So that.
So everyone.
Yeah,
has
we,
it. I usually do for my committees unless someone says, please don't print that. If you don't want me to print it, we won't print one.
This
It's-
same thing?
No, like every you'll get a new packet every time. So generally I print packets because we work through them. Some people like to bring a tablet or something, but you do it on the tablet. You will need to have the information in it because a lot of times it's going to be
Yeah,
here's your scoring sheet, here's
Sure.
yeah.
here's the photos.
Yeah.
When we get into imagery though, we can also put
Yeah.
them in our Zoom so that other people can see them as well. We'll try to do that as well. So,
Okay.
yeah. So just, again, let me know if you're like, take me off the list of printing things, but generally I print them.
And most of our packets probably won't be like 60 pages.
No, most of them will not be this big. So
Lot
this
of
is kind of your
information.
beefy, it's your beefy packet. Generally they'll be less, yeah.
That's because we have the examples of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Great, great.
Thank you very much.
And that, yeah, that other city.
So
Phil.
at this point, I think it's good to adjourn. We'll have any new business at least 1 week ahead. So plan on after Thanksgiving, be, thinking through things, getting ideas, and then we can hash that out. And next meeting should be fun because we'll have some more information. And so at this point, I think we can adjourn.
You want to say the time for us too?
Oh, it is,
The bottom right.
there we go. It's the 12th of November at 7:58 in the evening, and we're adjourned.
Good
Thank you all.
job.